People have lost their thirst for learning. Many people graduate college, graduate business school, get their CFA, and they stop learning. Would you go and see a doctor? Would you want to see a doctor who'd been practicing for 40 years and hadn't upgraded his skills since he left medical school? I wouldn't. Leaders are readers. Leaders are always learning, always learning, always reading, always thinking, always creating new skills. Leaders are readers. One of my favorite books is a book by a top executive coach named Marshall Goldsmith. And the title of the book is What Got You Here Won't Get You There. The title tells you basically the whole book. Wherever you are in your career, whatever got you there is probably sufficient to keep you at that level. But if you're trying to get to the next level, you need to develop new skills. Think about the auto industry. What's the problem in the auto industry? Is that the writing was on the wall 40 years ago when they moved the first robots into the production line. We knew jobs were going to disappear. But the companies and the individuals didn't train people, didn't allow them to train, to upgrade, to transition. We talked about the specialist business on Wall Street. 10 years ago, it was a real business. It doesn't exist today. Vaporized. You needed to be thinking ahead, planning ahead, learning new skills. Problem with skills as well is that people say, well, they look across at someone in their office and they say, man, I wish I just had, the communication skills of that person. Or if I had the charisma of him, man, then I could do anything. You can learn these things. All skills can be learned. If one person can do something, every person can do it. Charisma is a myth. There's a book called The Charisma Myth. You can learn charisma, you can learn confidence, you can learn skills and tools. This is what I train people to do. So how do you do that? You thought you could get away without some math in this session, huh? 2 equations. How do you learn skills? Needs analysis, less current skills equals lesson plan. What do you need to get what you want? If you want to run the firm, what skills do you need to run the firm? What are your current skills? What's your lesson plan? How do you put that together? It's like school. You show up to learn your ABCs and someone has an entire lesson plan. And that lesson plan takes you from day one all the way up to graduating college. Create a lesson plan for yourself. Second thing, take your lesson plan plus a process of learning equals getting skills. What's the process of learning? People say to me, I want to get good at communication skills. How do you do that? Go read a book, all right? You go read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Great book. But there's a problem. Most people read at the rate they read at 16, which is 250 words a minute. It takes them 3 weeks to read the book. By the time they're done, on average, they say, people remember 5% of the book that they read. So they dog-ear a few pages, they underline a few great ideas, and 3 months later, none of it is stuck. They're not using any of it. The process of learning is the opposite of that. It says, if you want to learn skills, if you want to go read books, what's your process to use those skills? One of the things that I got lucky with that I didn't anticipate, when I started reading all these books, I summarized them. I summarized these books. So thousands and thousands of pages of book summaries and ideas, which I then aggregated, created the principles, created summaries of summaries and summaries of summaries and summaries of summaries and recordings of summaries. So I listened to them and programmed them and trained myself in them. The same way you study your CFA, you don't just show up at class. You get the materials, you integrate the knowledge. You create a series of review notes. You sit and review them and you cram and you study and you test yourself by passing the exam. It's how you learn all skills. By the way, it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. If you read a book on speed reading, you'll get through a book in a few hours, period. But if you read 5 books on communications and you create 5 pages worth of notes and you study those and you practice them, bang, you'll actually learn it. That's how you get skills. So what do you learn? What do you learn? These are the 4 Wall Street skills. They're the skills I most often train. They're the skills that, in my view, matter the most. And they're all about this one thing, impact. When you hit that bag, you punch all the way through. all the way through. It's all about impact. How much impact do you have in your time management? Forget all these productivity tips. The number one principle of time management is this. Shift your time to its highest value use. Shift your time to its highest value use. Communications. What are the principles? Here's just one. Communicate with intent. You have two choices. You can walk into a meeting, sit down and have a conversation. Or you can spend a few hours preparing exactly what you're going to say. And if you get good at communications, preparing your communications frames, understanding the power of language, understanding metaphors, understanding stories, learning tools that you can use. Selling. How many people are truly good at selling? Selling is a skill set. It's a great skill set because you're always selling. You know, if you have kids, you're selling to your kids all the time. You're selling yourself and your firm. You're always selling your firm. You're always selling your ideas. Mindset. Mindset is my thing. I love this. I love this. When I started reading and doing all this stuff, it was full of all these ideas. What I realized a handful of years ago is all the ideas are one thing, but it's missing it. Knowledge matters a lot less than what you can do with it. Mindset is all about how does your mind work? What do you think? At the start of the session, I said forget the macro for a reason. Every minute you spend thinking about, worrying about, well, where's the market headed, is a minute you're not thinking about how you solve it. Every time you have a negative thought is a minute you don't have a positive thought about what you can do about it. And mindset is not positive mental attitude. Oh man, I've got positive mental attitude. No. Mindset is training your mind like the way an athlete trains their mind. When Usain Bolt lines up on the blocks and looks down at the tape, when Usain Bolt looks down at the tape, he's run that race thousands of times in his mind. I read the other day, Greg Louganis used to rehearse immediately before every dive. Immediately before, in his mind, see himself doing that dive 40 times over, and then he would dive. That's mindset. And a lot of what I do these days is I bring these tools to the business world because it isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter. The most advanced tools of human performance so you can have more impact. Bang. Bet you'd hit the bag well.